Okay, so we're recording. This is Virtually Connecting, and we're connecting today on the first day of the Association for Learning Technology 2019 annual conference. And look, judging by the buzz on Twitter, it's really very, very lively down there. So I'm looking forward to hearing from everybody. So I'm going to come on site first and just ask you to introduce yourselves, tell us who you are and why you're at ALT.
Okay. Well, firstly, thanks ever so much for inviting us on to this session. My name is Louise Jones, and I'm one of the co-chairs of this year's conference. Real pleasure to be here, and we have kicked the day off in style by announcing that this is a record number of sign-ups we've had for the 3 days. And one of the points that I made was actually that's because of the awareness of the role of the learning technologist and how that's grown across education sectors, but also because ALT is the most and probably the only organisation in this expanding space that has this credibility and has valued and has supported the role of the learning technologist so much. So yeah, that's a real big thank you and shout out to all of the ALT team, all of the members, the committees, the boards who have worked so hard to make this conference happen. So that's been me. So I hand over Sue.
So I was invited to be the first keynote and spoke this morning at 10 o'clock. So I'm Sue Beckingham and I teach at Sheffield Hallam University in the Department of Computing. So I'm a principal lecturer and I've got responsibility as a LTA lead. So staff developer, but with a TEL swing to it really. And I've been interested in technology enhanced learning and social media for learning for quite some years now.
And we also have...
Hi, I'm Sharon Flynn. I'm here from Dublin. I am currently working with the Irish Universities Association to lead a project around enhancing digital capacity in Irish universities. So I'm absolutely delighted to be here because it's my first time at ALT. I have wanted to come for many years, but the Irish universities always start teaching in the first week of September. So I haven't been able to until this year. And I'm really, really excited to be here.
And the disembodied voice off screen is Richard, and yeah, I'm the on-site buddy for this session and some of the other sessions later in the week, and I'll let the stars of the show do most of the talking, and I'll just make sure everything works in the background.
Wonderful, thank you. Not so much of the just, Richard, that's really important. If it doesn't work, we're stuffed. Brilliant, thank you very much. Lovely to hear from you. I would at this point normally introduce our off-site guests, but as we haven't had any that made it through to the room, we'll skip over that part. But maybe you could tell us a little bit about what you're hoping to get out of the conference on a personal level. What sort of areas of learning technology would you like to return home knowing that we've pushed forward into or we've developed? Or
sorry, there's a rather noisy...
It's a bit noisy, isn't it?
We've just got a forklift truck going through a minute.
I think we might have lost Laura.
So shall I ask people to answer your questions? So would you like to answer the question first?
Okay, what do I want to get out of the conference? I'm very interested in, I suppose, two things at the moment. One is because of my new role, which is maybe at a different level, it's a kind of a more strategic level than previous. I am looking for that sort of strategic level insight and information. So certainly coming here today, I was very interested in the launch of the GIST student experience survey results. Still making lots of noise here.
Well done, Sharon, for just pushing on through. Life goes on, doesn't it?
So the context there is that Ireland, or all of the higher education institutions in Ireland, are about to launch their version of the GIST student experience survey and the staff experience survey. So I was very interested to see what sort of results and analysis could come out of it. And the second thing that I really want to get out of the whole conference is the opportunity to network and to have lots and lots of conversations with people. So that's me in a nutshell.
I'd back that up. Networking for me is the most powerful thing, catching up with people, finding out what they're doing, what they're planning to do, those sorts of things. I went to a great session this morning that Don Pates ran about the hologram lecturer.
Oh, the holographic lecturer.
That's the word,
Yeah.
holographic lecturer. And it blows your minds really to think about the pace of technology and what could be, and he got us thinking about what that might look like and how we'd use it in 5 to 10 plus years time. But he also reminded us, if we go back 10-ish years, 10 plus years, what kind of phone did we have then and what did we do with it? And we were saying, we phoned people and we text, and that was practically it. So the pace of technology in a decade is incredible. So there's lots of things that we can't even imagine yet because we don't know what we don't know. But it was really fascinating to explore the possibilities, and I think space to do that is important. The here and now is equally important, but having that, I think people call it horizon scanning, but that's aspirations to do the wonderful, the weird and the wonderful, the wild and the wonderful. How could we change things in the future? And to have some stake, I guess, in putting in what things do we actually need to consider.
Yeah, I would think quite a few things come to mind when you think about a holographic lecturer. Does that mean you could be lecturing in one room and your hologram could be delivering to a different class somewhere else? Or will we not need teachers anymore?
They don't want to come in, so they invite their holographic lecturer into their bedroom because that's their dorm.
Okay. Food for thought.
I think it was UCL. They actually had invited somebody in, and it was like a panel session. So they had this holographic person talking, and that was really interesting because, unlike we're looking at you on the screen, and if there was other people there, you only tend to see one face. So actually having somebody as part of it, even though they're not real, it's a virtual. There's definitely got possibilities, but not. I can't see it myself at the moment as a replacement for the lecture because why would you not just look at a video, the technology? You would have to invest in that and the time to produce it. But yeah, watch this space.
And likewise, just following on from that, the networking has already been really evident. We had an informal get together at the Green Mantle Pub last night, which is fun, and the alt team even managed to negotiate a discount with our conference badges. I mean, how cool is that? So the networking has been really good, but I guess for me on a personal level, my background's very much in education, but from a local authority perspective in terms of managing the provision, the strategy, the vision for primary and secondary schools. And then I went on to work in industry. And they're preparing students with the skills to be able to go on to further education and experience new ways of independent learning. We've just been talking about the holographic lecture. So it's really important that there's a connectiveness between education sectors, and I think that quite often that's missing. So I always look for new ways in which I can translate that into the work that I do in the education space in primary and secondary by actually opening people's eyes open to actually what they might be doing at university, different ways of learning at university. But also in Scotland, it's a small country, you find that the secondary school senior phase curriculum now is expanding because people have got access to technology, that they're working much closer with universities and colleges to be able to access their courses in school because of the lack of teacher shortages, specialist teachers. Schools are reliant on FE and HE provision, broadening their curriculum so that they can meet the needs of their learners, particularly as I mentioned in these budgetary times, and lack of specialist teachers. So it's really important that we've got that kind of depth of knowledge across the education sector. And this is a fairly new sector for me. So I am just soaking it up and loving all of the things that I've seen and heard. And I guess the other thing for me is that this is a real treat. I'm used to going to conferences where there's a big kind of like bet and Scottish Learning Festival. So to be here where there's a real culture of openness and transparency at the heart and sharing and networking and meeting people, you just don't get that at the big conferences. So that's why it's a real treat for me. And we also have Sheila here as well.
Oh, Sheila's come, hooray. Thank you.
Yeah, so
Sheila, we can see one eye. Yay. How are you?
I'm good. Yeah. Just I suppose to reiterate what everyone said, the conference so far has been great. She did an amazing keynote. I think she got us off to a really good start. Been lots of discussions, and I think the things she was talking about have really filtered into all the sessions I've been in. So that was great. But also, I think just talking about the networking, one of the things that Melissa Highton mentioned this morning, just in the opening, was about the small things that everybody does. And I think that's part of the networking and part of why this is such a strong community, is actually finding out what you think are the little things that you do, that we all do, and what makes a difference. And I actually think that it's nice collectively to celebrate that, and also sometimes just go, oh God, that doesn't work, and oh, it doesn't work for me either, and actually have those open discussions about that. So I think there's a lot to be said for kind of what we might think are small things, but actually collectively they can make quite significant changes as well. So that was kind of something that I thought was worthwhile to remind everyone of this morning as well.
Yeah, it's
Sorry?
I introduced a kind of verbal ping pong. It was just some fun to get people have a little bit of energy after they'd arrived and shake hands with someone. So it was a moment of silliness, but actually it resonated well with the fact that it's okay to do something a bit risky, take a little risk and try something new and not be worried about it, and look at the here and now, look sideways, because we looked up, we looked down, and we looked sideways. So yeah, it was a fun morning.
That sounds interesting. I'm going to have to track that down as well. I think this practitioner interface between practitioners in different contexts, in different places, getting together. I certainly really appreciate that about the alt community, that you can, look at things through the eyes of various people, and it's not just the tool or the activity or the content that's the focus. It's the human. It's, knowing your story, knowing, what you've done, what you've tried, and how you've made a journey through making something happen. That's we can all learn through that. And the openness as well, the fact that it is still easy for me to get on YouTube and see a little more of Sue than I can see now, and catch up with the conversations and feel that you're part of it. So
I went to a good session this morning, and it was using Lego Serious Play.
I saw that on Twitter. Yes.
So it was an opportunity. We worked through various different short little exercises, but one of them was thinking about just picking out random Lego, build a model to describe what you think your role is in technology enhanced learning. And the stories that were coming out, because everybody talked to the little models, is the concept of the session. There was a lot of stories about their career journey and how they'd happened into learning technology. They'd started off in different roles. And I think for me, it was just by sheer fluke. It was I had a curve piece, so I talked about my learning curve into technology, and how technologists have helped me develop and give me confidence because I trust them. And I think, coming to this conference, I know I can turn to so many different people and ask for advice, and that's great.
Hello. Who's online there? Lots of people.
There's just me, Laura, I'm afraid. We had 4 sign-ups. One was in Thailand,
Ah,
So I'm not quite sure what happened to that one. And the others were sort of last minute sign-ups today, so perhaps they were over ambitious and they've been called away. But the way we're working now through Virtually Connecting is we're recording the session and then posting it after the recording, so so everybody will be able to watch it afterwards. Good to see you.
how are you doing?
Yeah, good. Following lots of tweets and things from you last week, the other day, and yes, excited to see you at AltC. So, what does the conference hold for you? Do you
It's been
think?
so interesting. I haven't been for 4 years, I realized. I think I was last here at an alt in 2015. So it's been quite interesting to see how it's changed. I've just come from a great session that Helen Beetham was doing on feminism as a resource for EdTech and the kinds of concepts and practices that could be useful at a time where where people are talking about pedagogy of care and open education and sharing, and she was drawing on these old texts, which my age will be revealed when I confess to remembering reading them in the first instance, and how useful they are still today. People like Dale Spender and people like that. It was really helpful. It was really.
It's kind of a.
Yeah.
Well, it's kind of crossing a barrier as well, isn't it? Because learning technology and anything to do with tools, you tend to perhaps has been populated more by the male than the female. So maybe we're starting to say, well, do you know what? We're 50-50 in this society. We need both perspectives.
Yeah, I think it's also more about a value set.
Yeah.
Around collaboration and ways of working together to be legitimized and insisting on diverse points of view, not assuming that a particular point of view is the dominant legitimate one, those kinds of things. And she was pointing to this new generation that are insisting on these things.
Yes, I think we can be very proud that the youngsters coming through are actually pushing some of the barriers we've had. That's excellent.
To see who's sitting here, and I don't know if we could call ourselves youngsters.
Of course you can. Of course you can.
I don't know. What's the point for youngster?
It's all about
Anybody who's still young enough to be working.
Excellent. So these are when we talk about values in learning technology, it's a conversation that we often have in open education in the OER sessions. But you're feeling that this is mainstreaming more, that people are having these conversations.
I think that's what Helen was pointing to, and she was drawing on quite current literature in the general EdTech space that is drawing on a broader understanding. So the critical pedagogy, the open education, and so on, and also the resistance to the kinds of surveillance, the general kind of surveillance that people are becoming aware of, that Sue was talking about in her keynote this morning.
Yes, yes, that's very much attuned to the critical digital literacy that we were talking about last week in Eurocall as well, and the importance of opening our eyes to the realities of what we do.
Having a collective voice, and saying that we're not putting up with this anymore. But it was interesting when I only saw the beginning, but she was gathering a research, because there's the Twitter account, the FemEdTech Twitter account, and the hashtag, and she's been looking back over the collections of the numerous tweets that have been going out. I forget how many she said were following.
More than 2,000.
More than 2,000 now, which is an amazing community and has grown so fast. But all the important things that people are sharing, the links, it's just a wealth of resources that, hopefully. She's created a mind map, hasn't she, of the different aspects of that, which she's obviously openly sharing, and that it'll be really good to visit and look at.
Excellent, excellent. And that openness, that transparency, that's so important, because you know, this sort of siloed nature of conferences that mean that even if you have some blindingly important discoveries, unless they're shared openly, we can't move forward. So important that we're modeling all of that as well. Excellent. Well, I won't hold you up any further, because you've given me very generously 20 minutes of your time, and you've had to sort of push through all sorts of furniture moving and things that's been going on in the background. But thank you so much for giving us an insight into Alt-C, and we'll flag up as well that hashtag Alt-C for the conference, so that people can join. If they've missed today's session, they can join tomorrow's session, or where are we? Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday session. Yes, there's a session a day, and find out more, because I'm sure there'll be Alt being the wonderful mixing pot, melting pot that it is. There'll be wonderful things coming out of the next few days.
Sure.
Thank you so much. Thank you very much for your time, folks. Give us all a wave.